good, good. All right. So take a moment, really settle in. And truly, the invitation here is not to multitask, not to be eating, making breakfast, doing other things, but this is satsang. This is the opportunity to really be present in a discourse, in an engagement, in an exploration that can have profound effects and impacts on not only this current embodiment, but on the very nature of our soul, of the soul constellation that we are, that is here to keep moving toward enlightenment, to keep moving through the shadow, back to the light, back home to the light. So really be present. Take a moment, go to the breath. Be aware of the presence of a body. And just recognizing how the body is perhaps more at peace than the mind. And self-realization, the realizing of the true absolute self, is a matter of learning to point our awareness to be more intentive, to be more intentional, to be more intentional with where we place our awareness. And as we've done in the past, just in this moment, take your awareness right now and point it to your right shoulder. Got it? You didn't just grow a right shoulder, it's been there all along. Move your attention to your left hand. Oh, wow, there's a left hand. Fascinating. It was there all along. We can learn to intentionally move our awareness. So when we intentionally move it into this peace, into the stillness, into the portal to grace, we might find a peace that is always there. If we're not intentionally doing that, then typically the story has our complete attention. We're watching the movie. We're believing everything that's happening in the movie. And we're forgetting that there is a grace that is always present, no matter what the movie is doing. So we learn to point our attention and drop it down into anywhere other than the mind. Just dropping it down. The body, the heart is the most convenient place to drop the awareness, to point the awareness upon what is already peaceful. And then in that awareness, to watch as the mind tries to jump in and participate. And it's saying to the awareness, where did you go? It's saying to the attention, where did you go? Why aren't you on me anymore? Hello? Hello? I'm still valid. I have a lot to say. Don't ignore me. And sometimes it'll get even louder and more insistent, like a petulant child saying, don't ignore me, don't ignore me, don't ignore me. And we can say, no, I hear you. I hear you. I'm not denying you, mind. I'm not denying you, story. I hear you. And I'll listen to you. I just am not believing you so vociferously. I'm not totally bought in, but I'll listen to you. It's like a parent listening to a child, and the child's talking about monsters under the bed. It wouldn't be helpful for the parent to say, well, that's rubbish. There are no monsters under your bed. Now go to sleep and you should be fine. A loving parent would listen. Oh, wow, monsters. Okay, let's talk about the monsters. And little by little, help the child understand that there are no monsters under the bed. So the parent is listening. They're just not believing. They're not looking at the child going, oh my God, really? Monsters? And now the parent's scared as well because the child's saying there's monsters under the bed. So we can rest in our grace and our love and be a parent, be a loving presence to the stories of the mind. Rest more in the heart. Hearing the stories, but little by little, just not believing them as much as you used to. Not shoving them away, not pushing them aside, not arguing with them. Again, like arguing with a child about monsters under the bed, it really wouldn't do any good. Let's not argue with our mind, with our stories, with our conditioning, our wounding, our programming. Let's love it. Have a little dialogue with it and let it know that things are okay. That's what we're going to talk about today. Two things that really have been strong this week. The first one I want to talk about isn't the real strong knowing that's really dropped in to my practice, but it's an interesting perspective. It's a way to feel into this work that we're doing. Also, if a question comes up, you can let me know through the chat room, and we can have a little dialogue. Again, be present, not multitasking, because what we're about to talk about takes feeling. It's a nuance of presence. I'm going to do a little meditation. But before we do that, recognize that this journey of awakening from the pernicious habit of self, in other words, the personal construct of self that we have developed and that is very much a real part of our lives, that our identification with that, its predominance, to awaken from that and be less pulled and pushed by that takes a while. One of my teachers who comes from a Zen background, he spoke one time about saying, you could figure probably about 10 years. And and then he said, and that's living in a Zen community 7 days a week, doing this 24 hours a day. It takes a while. Now, I have found in my journey that with devotion and discipline and presence and faith, devotion being key, devotion to knowing truth, not devotion to feeling better, not devotion to peace, because the ego will tell you, oh yeah, I can deliver that. Not even the devotion to self-love, but the devotion to awakening, to allowing the most imperishable, beautiful truth of your being to blossom and to present itself. the beautiful fragrance to bloom of what we really are. That takes a while. So the analogy that came to me this week was, it's like weight loss. Imagine you're 150 pounds overweight. And you've learned to not carry shame about that, but you'd like to shed the weight. You'd like to shed the weight. It would feel healthier. You would be more free. The weight of our story, to be, and we all feel it, to be under the weight of our fears and our stories, and this thing that I struggle with. God, part of my story, I'm not enough, I'm not valuable, I'm not listened to, I'm not, whatever the wounding is, can feel like a weight. And a lot of what is offered to us today are the lose weight fast plans. And there's a lot of good work happening. I don't want to speak poorly of anyone who's trying to help anyone be more free and more whole and more in their truth. But I have found that unless that work is really going to the awakening of the true eternal nature of being, that it tends not to last. Or if you shed 50 pounds, you are probably going to put 40 pounds back on. So if somebody really helped you understand and say, look, here's the deal. You're 150 pounds overweight. I can actually help you lose 125 of those pounds in the next weekend. But it won't last, and it'll come back. And you'll have to do it again. And you can do this for the rest of your life. And I think we've all experienced that, whether it be with our spiritual enlightening, or whether it is in actual physical weight loss, to be on this roller coaster. But if that person also said to you, there's another plan, there's another path, but here's the deal. It's going to take years, and you will not feel, especially early on, you won't feel much satisfaction. You may lose a quarter pound a day, and it's not going to feel very satisfying, and you won't feel like you're reaching your goals fast enough. And you can go back to the other plan and lose a lot of weight fast, and you'll put it back on. Or devote yourself to a new path that will take years, and it won't be initially very satisfying. But if you can have faith and recognize that there are many who have taken this path before you, who are embodied in a true, lasting, sustainable peace and grace, and they're not putting the weight back on, the weight of story, the weight of the old fears, doubts, self-deprecation, all the things we struggle with, the weight under which we live, the emotional weight under which we live. If you can have faith and know this is possible and it's for you, there's nobody who this isn't for. If you can have faith and patience and a devotion to knowing your truth, and really recognize that that is the liberation you're looking for. I don't want peace. again, the ego will tell you, oh, I can get you that. It'll come up with all sorts of strategies for that. And it won't be a lasting peace because it will be a mind-generated peace. And if somebody said to you, go take this path and have faith and just stay with it. And as the weight does shed slowly over time, and you'll have little spikes, you'll have times where suddenly 7 pounds will overnight be gone. That'll happen. But predominantly, it'll just be these little incremental shedding of weight that it'll be hard to tell. But then every once in a while, you'll look in the mirror and go, wow, there's a difference. And if this promise was made that if you do this with diligence and devotion, the weight won't come back. There will be times where you'll have little spikes. You'll suddenly put on 5 pounds. But you will have learned tools or truth. You will have come into an embodiment of your lightness. And you'll recognize that 5 pounds is formless. And it'll drop like that. Oh, wow, I've put on 5 pounds. Wait, where'd that come from? Wait, what's going on? Oh, that's right. I forgot that I'm loved. Let me go back to the love. Ah, there I am. Poof, 5 pounds gone. So the invitation is to study, to devote yourself to a path, knowing that it may not feel initially satisfying and it'll take time. But the opportunity is to shed weight, emotional weight that will not come back. Because you will be embodied in the imperishable lightness of being. So that's the first thing I wanted to share today. And if there's any questions around that or curiosity that wants to be explored around that, the idea of a devotion and a path and a study, then please feel free to ask. So part of the path, part of this devotion of self-realization, of pointing your awareness to the truth of where the story comes from and how it lives and what is the imperishable grace of your being. That takes presence. It takes presence. So I want to talk about healing and loving our wounding. And that there's a practice, there's a way that can happen that requires an understanding that shifts a perspective in a fairly significant way. Okay, So we're going to start with an understanding of a little bit of an understanding of time. If I ask you, in fact, do this now while we talk, go back to a time in your past. It doesn't have to be significant. It doesn't have to be, a deep wounding or anything of that nature. I'm just asking you right now just to go back to any time in your past. Heck, you can go back to breakfast this morning if you want, but it's tends to be a little bit more powerful if you just go back to any time in your past, and I want you to go to that younger self. Go to the moment, go to the experience, go to some of the feelings. Okay, you may be there. And now I kind of tricked you a little bit. So a little snarky comment. Apologies for the snarky comment. But what I would say is really, really, you're 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, half an hour ago, that's where you are right now? I don't think so. You're here. You're now. You can't go back to the past. You can't. It's impossible. Nobody can. Nobody ever has. What you did was you brought the past forward into the moment. You invited the past to be present in the moment so you could look at it and feel it and be with it. Now, where did you bring it forward from? The past, it's somewhere floating about, the moment, the experience that you brought into this moment so you could see it and be with it was conjured from this thing called the past. Somehow you magically went back and got it, brought it forward. No, you, it's here. It's present. It's in your personal story. Every moment that you have ever lived that had any contribution to your story is present now. Whatever age you are, I'm 59. I'm not just a 59-year-old sitting here. I'm the 58-year-old, the 57-year-old, the 56-year-old, the 55-year-old, the 54-year-old, the 53-year-old. I am the 7-year-old. I am the 5-year-old. I am the 3-year-old. And a way to feel into this is that the mind tends to need to take our story and stretch it out over time so that we can view it and think about it and experience it, recall it in a linear fashion. But as we've just discovered, there is no past. There is no literal past that we can go to. Anything that you bring from the past into the moment so you can be with it came from your personal story. Now it's there. It's always there. It's always present. And it's running things. It's contributing to your experience. It's wounding, it's stories. They're not in the past. They're present now. Your 7-year-old is present now. Your 23-year-old is present now. Every aspect, every moment of you is present now. So one way to visualize it is, instead of thinking about it being stretched out in a linear fashion, think of yourself like a book. And so instead of you being stretched out in a linear fashion, you just stack yourself up and realize, wow, The entire book, the entire story of me is present now. Chapter 1 is here, chapter 2 is here, chapter 5 is here, chapter 60 is here. Every chapter of me is present right now, stacked in there, working. Informing how you feel, how you experience everything. Pretty wild, huh? So, if you can grok that, if you can be with that, if you can kind of get it, and really go to your own personal experience. Really go to your own personal experience. Don't just take my word for it. When you go to your past, do you go anywhere? Where do you go? You just conjure up a memory that's present. You're just bringing it into awareness. You're just bringing it into a consciousness, an aware consciousness. But when you're not bringing it into your aware consciousness, it doesn't go away. It's present, just like in our pointing our awareness to our right shoulder. Oh, there it is. There it is. It was always present. It doesn't go away. It's just whether you bring it into your awareness. So here we have this story, the personal self. Always present, every moment of it present, every significant moment of it present. Okay, so it's here now. Every moment, every significant moment is here now. Set that aside for one moment. What is also here now is an awakening wisdom, is an awakening truth, an awakening grace. If you're in your practice of allowing, of feeling into, oh, wait, there's a conditioning of me, and that's not the only me. Oh, I am consciousness. I am God consciousness. We all are. Awakening is consciousness awakening to itself. So as that awakening happens, as that knowing, embodied knowing of, oh, I am love. Oh, I am love. There's nothing that isn't love. And so I am also love, not I chess. I chess is a story. I chess is not love per se. I chess is a story happening within the love that I really am. The story of chess, the personal self, is a temporary construct appearing within a momentary appearance, if you will, within imperishable consciousness, awareness, loving awareness. There's nothing but awareness. So if you even have an inkling of that, even a sense of that, oh, I am not the small constructed story that's there, but that's not really who I am. I am pure loving awareness. I am love. So if that's present now, feel into that right now. If you're doing your meditations, you have some knowing, you have some experience, you have some moments of dropping the story and recognizing there is something that is always present, waiting for our awareness to be shown upon it. And it's love, it's peace, it's grace. Present now. the 7-year-old is present now. The 10-year-old is present now. The 20-year-old is present now. Every significant aspect that is built into your personal story is present now. And it didn't know this love. But if it's present now, and awakened love is present now, then awakened love is accessible, is available to every moment of your being, every moment of your story, every moment of your personal self. They're both present now. And you can think of it as like this book of you, the chapters of self, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old, and all the significant aspects that went into your personal story. They're all present right now, right? You can't go into the past. Where do you get them from? From now. They're all within your construct, within your mind's version of self. So imagine taking that entire book and imagine you had a pot of red dye, and that red dye is called love, grace, freedom, liberation, truth. And you said, I want my entire history, I want my entire past to be washed, to be bathed, to be imbued with this beautiful truth, this beautiful grace that is presenting itself now in my life. This grace is presenting itself. Oh, there it is. And imagine this pot of red dye is like this balm, this soothing balm of peace. And you can take your entire book, your entire self, every moment, because it's all right here, and dip it into that love. And let the entire story of you be impregnated, infused, washed by, imbued with love. There is no past. Every iteration of yourself, every moment of pain and wounding and story is present now. So is the grace of love that you are awakening, that you're starting to get a sense of. And it feels good. So give that to the younger self, which is your younger self is here right now, always will be. We can wash our entire story with the truth of our being, with the truth of our imperishable nature. We are, everything is consciousness, loving awareness, just the presence of peace and awareness. That's a powerful practice. But it can't happen. It happens. It is available when we are also in the practice of awakening, being with, pointing our awareness to the vastness of what we truly are beyond the temporary personal construct. And allowing that and recognizing that that allowing is not an activity of mind. Allowing is the very nature of our being. Compassion can be an activity of mind, but it is also the very nature of our being. And when we are awakened as the nature of our being, when we allow it, when we feel it, when we fall back into that, we realize we don't have to practice compassion. It just is. So when we start to feel any essence of this grace, we can give it. It's available to every iteration of ourselves, of our story. So here's the meditation. Rest in your grace, even if it's just a small spark of your grace. Rest in any knowing, any heartfelt embodiment, resting in peace, any sense of peace, any sense of calm stillness. And we're just going to call that love. So resting in the peace and the stillness, which are just different words for love. So resting in just a little knowing, or a large knowing, or a total embodiment of knowing, but in some essence of calm, peaceful, loving awareness. And the mantra is, I am love. In this moment, right now, I know it. I am love. Oh, I am love. That's right. It's a remembering. It's a pointing awareness to what is always there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, I'm love. It's not I am loved. I am love itself. I am love. Everything is. I am love. That's the awakening. That's the moment. That's the awareness. I am love. And then, and I always have been. And to feel that, to rest in the grace of love and allow, and I always have been. My 7-year-old was love, is love. Before he or she started to forget and started to fall into the dream of the personal construct, let your 7-year-old know, because your 7-year-old is present right now. Let your 7-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 15-year-old, or whatever know you are loved. You don't have to fall into the story of I'm unlovable or I'm unworthy. I know that happened. But now there's a new wisdom, a new truth. I am love, and I always have been. There's never been a moment I haven't been. There were all these moments and experiences where I forgot, or I just never kind of knew in the first place. I don't think I've ever known that, but I know it now. And every moment of myself, of my personal story, can have access to that truth because it is also present now. So that's the mantra. I am love. I am love. And let that settle. Feel it. Get the vastness of what that means. I am love. I am loving awareness. That's the true nature of my beingness, my imperishable nature. I am love. Oh, I am love. Hmm. And then, and I always have been. And you can feel, it's like you can actually watch your younger versions of self be filled, stand up straighter and not be collapsing in on the fear and the pain and the derision, but even when they're being presented with an abuse, hateful comments from bullies, from society, from schoolmates, from parents, from siblings, you can watch your young self know, I am love. And then to look out upon the world, look out upon those who are mm, trying to hurt, and say, I'm love. And have compassion and recognize, and they don't know that. They don't know their love. They don't know that I'm love, but I know it now. And I always have been and always will be. And you can dip your entire story of self. You can, in that beautiful dye, that beautiful coloring of love. And it rewrites. It's just a story. It's just thoughts. It's just a construct of memories. Rewrite them. I am love. Always have been. There is no past. It's all now. There's only ever now. You can't go back to your past. You can simply point your awareness to the memory, the thought, the story that you carry. It's just a story, just thoughts impacting you in a deep way, cellular on a cellular level, affecting your DNA, but it's thoughts, a memory, and it's present now, as is this burgeoning truth of your grace, of your beingness. So invite every iteration of you to bask in this truth. All right. So I think we'll end it there today. That's the practice. There's only love and there's only now. And every moment we've ever experienced of significance is present now. So give it love. Give it that knowing. So that's the meditation. I am love. I am love. And let each time you say that, let it settle for a moment. What does that mean? I am love. Oh, popped out of the story, popped out of the dream of self into the awakened knowing, into the awakened being. That's love. I am that. And then, and I always have been. My entire story is present right now. Let it know. Give it access. And watch every younger part of you awaken and be filled with the strength and the power of truth. Beautiful. Blessings, blessings, blessings. If you're on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up if this has had any impact for you. And please leave your comments. Leave your comments about your awakening, about your struggle, about this idea of everything being present now. And there is no past. There's only memories. And the memories are occurring now. Beautiful. All right, blessings. And see you next Sunday. And may you know your love. May every moment of you know you are love. Blessings.